Good day, I'm Oskar Sherlief, and these are the latest news from Kazakhstan. The Abakayev-style clearing, the National Security Committee Frontier Agency Deputy Director Alim Khasenov was arrested. Journalists commemorated their late colleagues in honor of the International Day of Journalists in Almaty yesterday. The golf tournament is opened in Almaty with prize pool of 400,000 euros. One of the Kazakh National Security Committee Frontier Agency officials is charged with causing damage to the state. Previously, Alim Khasenov served the head of the Equipment and Arms Department of the same organization. This was stated by the Internal Affairs Minister Kuanishbek Zhumanov, representative during a press briefing yesterday. This is already a second controversial arrest for the last 2 weeks. Just prior to this, a General Prosecutor's Office official Murat Musabekov was arrested and was inflicted the disclosure of official secrecy charges. These arrests, say some observers, are a direct outcome of the recent appointment of Nurtai Abakayev as the leader of the National Security Committee. The new arrest seems only to confirm these suggestions. On August 23rd, the Internal Affairs Ministry's investigation committee had instigated a criminal case against Khasenov charged with abuse of authority during capital construction of the frontier pickets. The state sustained major losses, said the ministry representative, without indicating the sum of the damage. Colonel Khasenov worked as deputy director of the Kazakh National Security Committee Frontier Agency for the 3rd year. Interestingly, he was awarded the Dunk Order in 2008, to which only best military managers and officers are nominated for provision of national security, strengthening the rule of law and public order. On September 2, 2010, Khasenov was arrested according to Article 132 of the Criminal and Procedural Code of Kazakhstan. On September 3rd was served charges, and the next day the Akmala Garrison Military Tribunal had sanctioned his arrest. During the same briefing, the Internal Affairs Ministry representative answered questions regarding the investigation over the murder of Stan TV reporter Sayat Shulimbayev. 9 months ago, a journalist was found dead in his apartment with numerous cut injuries on his body. Since then, the investigation hasn't produced any results. The law enforcement official only said they continued the investigation while the journalists in Almaty gathered to commemorate their late colleagues as part of the International Journalist Solidarity Day celebration. A minute of silence in commemoration of late journalists was part of the action held near the Press Club building in Almaty. By lit candles, journalists from various media outlets have marked the Journalists' International Solidarity Day. The profession remains one of the most risky and dangerous in the world. We must stick together, as stated on the T-shirt. We are stronger when we are together. Relatives of Stan TV reporter Sayat Shulimbayev, killed on December 24th last year, doubt the journalists' solidarity. This is the 9th month since the tragedy happened, but the criminals have not yet been established. Late journalists' family members still can't get any information about the investigation from the law enforcement bodies. They haven't told us anything about the investigation process. They still keep silent. The investigation doesn't seem to have a progress while the Internal Affairs Ministry representatives keep saying it is searching for criminals. So far, the only version of the murder was voiced, according to which the journalist's death is not related with his profession. We have no other information at the moment. We'll let you know. According to the Adil Sos Foundation, 38 journalists were killed in Kazakhstan for the last 8 years. There is still no information about the results of searching for missing journalist Oralgaysha Omarshanova and the investigation of Kyrgyz journalist Gennady Pavlyuk's murder in Almaty. Colleagues and relatives of late or missing journalists believe that the authorities are not interested in solving the scandalous crimes. A criminal group operates in the sections of China-Kazakhstan highway. This was stated by a businesswoman from Almaty, Meizgul Abdykazhimova, yesterday. Meizgul had appealed to public, General Prosecutor's Office and heads of the Customs and Finance Police of Kazakhstan calling for help. Business lady claims the customs office is extorting $20,000 to clear her goods. Racketeering is supported by Customs and Finance Police officers, says the entrepreneur, even calling some of their names. She claims the deputy head of the 3rd branch of the Almaty Economic and Corruption Crime Fighting Department, Kenjibai Jumabekov, had demanded $10,000 of bribe in order to release a van with goods detained at the customs station. Moreover, she was recommended to clear only in one controlled warehouse. Otherwise, they threatened to instigate a criminal case for alleged illegal traffic. I believe that the finance police officers were blackmailing and provoking the bribe. I want the case to be transferred from finance police to other law enforcement bodies in order for a fair review.
New facts of court and pre-trial investigation procedure violations on the Eurasia Logistic top manager's case were revealed in Russia. During a press conference held in Moscow, the suspect's lawyers told reporters that they don't understand why the case on the mortgages sold by Kazakh bank is reviewed in Russia and their clients are detained for more than 6 months already. Attorneys have called the case having a political motive.
Why the investigative committee of the Russian Internal Affairs Ministry shows its cruel attitude and continues to keep the suspects under detention, while the amendments introduced by Medvedev in order to humanize the criminal and procedural code, which is already in force, was supposed to inflict more humane measures. The prosecution attempted to prove that one of Russia's major logistic companies with 15% share of the A-class warehouse market in the country is nothing but a big shame exclusively created for embezzling the BTA bank assets. Dmitry Glukhovsky, one of the suspect's lawyers, was outraged by such statement, saying these arguments are not backed up with facts proving his client's guilt. The prosecution seems not liking the arguments made by the defense, which showcases the obvious mismatches and groundlessness of suspects' further detention. According to suspects' attorneys, the case is slowly obtaining a political character, as this may all has been allegedly arranged by Russian law enforcement upon Kazakh authorities' request. These are the people who are dealing with the judiciary system for the first time in their lives, and they see a law from one hand and the court resolution which contradicts to it from another. The press conference speakers told reporters that Eurasia Logistic top managers are supported by the global business community representatives as well. Professor of the Boston University Sergei Kulyaev had forwarded a letter to President Medvedev in which he calls the head of state to take the investigation under his personal control. The appeal was signed by 250 businessmen. Now the Russia's leadership will have to choose whether to make sure the laws are observed properly or the law enforcement's tyranny dictated by Kazakh authorities continue.
The cabinet session had resolved to allocate $120 million to compensate the interest holders who sustained losses investing into the elite estate projects in Astana. This sum is confirmed by the state budget up until year 2013. Such resolution of the government came in line with the arrival of the UN Special Rapporteur Raquel Rowling who met with the hunger-striking interest holders just a day earlier. Rowling is preparing a special report on Kazakh real estate market.
The government has decided to provide $120 million for the completion of shared construction objects. The aid will be given only to those who paid for the elite housing. This is the capital's Grand Astana and Premier complex in the Almaty region. The renewed budget will be presented to the parliament on September 13th. $130 million were provided to resolve the problem in the real estate market. As you may know, the authorities have taken the responsibility to complete the construction of objects with the shareholders, local administrations and the Samruk-Kazana Fund. For the shareholders, this decision of the government was a total surprise, although people say that the generosity of the cabinet is easily explainable. As Raquel Rowling, the UN Special Speaker, arrived to Kazakhstan yesterday. The guest will give an evaluation of the situation over the housing issues. On the day of their arrival, she met with the hunger-striking shareholders in Astana.
Kazakhstan, as many other countries, have signed this international law. So Kazakhstan and many other countries now.
The shareholders are worried that the provided money will not reach the destination. People no longer trust the government. The money that was provided previously had to be used to solve the problems of shareholders who have 2 or more apartments and other shareholders' mortgages. It had to be used to solve the problem of the entire shareholders of Astana, but I can tell you that these money were stolen. The hunger strikers are not intended to stop the action. Their goal is not only to achieve the completion of the construction of their houses, but also the cancellation of the decree of the government, which implies 1 apartment per person innovation.
The Kazakh parliamentarians suggested reviewing the issue of raising the pensions for retired people. According to them, they must reach 2/3 of the average wage rate in the country, which is estimated at approximately $368. Moreover, it is suggested to conduct indexation of income in line with inflation rate. Representative Gulmira Isinbayeva had appealed to Prime Minister with such request during the Majlis work session yesterday.
The parliamentarians have supported the initiative, moreover urged to review the issue of raising the pensions without waiting for the government's reaction during the discussion of the state budget for the next year. According to the parliamentarians, the money for the initiative may be found through the increasing of oil export duties, following the example of Russia, where the license holders pay $280 for 1 ton of exported oil to the local budget. Mineral developers in Kazakhstan, meanwhile, pay only $20 per ton. The people's representatives claim that this way Kazakhstan will be able to provide welfare of retired people and offer more social benefits than now. Pensioners complain about losing all social benefits along with their savings resulted by the collapse of the Soviet Union. This includes the free public transport passes, treatment, travel vouchers, discounts on medicaments and insurance. Therefore, we believe it is necessary to increase the pensions at least by 75% of the average wage rate in the country. This was recommended by the International Labour Organization as well.
The Kazakh energy company had become an official sponsor to the Kairat soccer club. The talks about sponsorship have lasted for quite a long time and finally ended positively after some team players have appealed to President Nazarbayev with complaints. As a result, those signing the appeal were deprived from part of their salaries and bonuses for publicizing the club affairs against their contract obligations. Next story has the details.
In compliance with contract terms, the Kazakh club had paid the Kairat almost $2 million transferred in 2 installments. The first part of the money was spent to cover all the debts. The debt to Central Stadium alone made up $200,000. However, despite the solid income, the players of the Kairat team seemed to be punished for publicizing their problems and appealing to the President of Kazakhstan. It is a right thing to refer to the Kazakhstan Soccer Union because in the sports team the club is a federation. It is not allowed to publicize through the press as stated in the contract terms and conditions. In their letter addressed to the President Nazarbayev, the soccer players of the Kairat team complained about the pay pause, emergency condition of the sports facilities and lack of uniforms. Regarding the Kairat, I will have to repeat myself again that the city administration fulfills its obligations on timely manner. Meanwhile, the soccer club management rejects to speak to reporters. Ivan, make sure to get rid of these guys. Meanwhile, the Kazakh representatives didn't show up at the press conference but indicated in their official statement that they will not interfere in the internal policies of the club. Everything needs to be drastically changed and reorganized. In terms of soccer, we need a real revolution. All the regional centers must have proper facilities, equipments, and that the sports schools functioned well. As a result of statements spread through the media, only the Kairat club problems were solved in Almaty. A new contract with the mentioned club is signed for a year, and its representatives have assured during the press conference that they won't have problems with prolonging the contract in year 2011.